Mark Belton, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. I'm here with my boy, Realworld Tactical. We got Tony. How do you say the last name again?
Sentmanat.
I just always leave that up to him because I'm going to mess it up and he's going to punch me in the face. After he punches me in the face, I'm going to try to defend myself that he's going to break my arm. And then I'm going to squirm around and cry and try to do something else and he's going to...
People are so aggressive. The most aggressive people are powerlifters for some reason. I don't know why.
I have been trying to talk about like punching them and blindsiding them and stuff. I don't know why, but I think it's just because I'm hopeful that I'll sneak in some sort of cheap shot. And then people.
And I'm always ready, situationally aware. You always have to be situationally aware.
Damn, those damn tactics.
Yeah.
So somebody wants to know your numbers. What do you got? We call this street cred, iron cred.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got for the bench, squat, deadlift?
All right, bench. Actually,
how much you bench?
I bench about 460, between 460 and 470, max for one rep. I actually did that the other day.
Probably just a gym lift.
Yeah, probably. Squatting, I haven't max. I don't really, guys. I'm not a powerlifter, so I don't do max loads. I usually always run for reps, 3 to 5 reps on everything I do. I would tell you in squatting, I'm probably mid fives, mid to high fives, and then in deadlifting, I'm about mid sixes. So that's more or less what I run, which is not bad, I guess. My goal, and I try to explain to everybody, my always goal has been to double my weight on the 3 primary lifts. As long as I'm doubling my weight, I'm happy, I'm good to go. And that should be, as an athlete, that should be your goal, especially if you're not a powerlifter. You're a powerlifter, obviously, you should be doing
if you're squatting like in the 4s, and especially if you're able to do it for multiple reps.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like,
exactly.
all right, well,
you're good to go.
I feel good to go. And with your background of some MMA and stuff like that, you're able to throw good kicks and good, strong, powerful punches.
And that's another thing too, is a lot of guys just say, oh no, because you need to build your legs up heavier, bigger legs, and explain to them, if I have bigger quads and bigger legs, then that means I'm not going to be able to run as long. So I have to be able to run 2 to 3 miles, jump. And when you have big legs like that, it takes a big toll on you.
I think Bones Jones and Anderson Silva have huge legs, and that's probably the main reason why they have so much striking power in those legs, right?
Right.
It's more about being accurate.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the endurance factor. The endurance factor. The bigger, obviously, the bigger you are, the less endurance you're going to have, especially your muscles. It takes obviously a lot more oxygen to maintain them and a lot more blood flow. So.
Somebody had the question of, what is your mindset when you're setting up some of these workouts for people?
My mindset is never break someone, always push them past their limit. So
what about with yourself?
With myself,
is it the opposite?
Honestly, yeah. With myself,
sick bastard.
Yeah, I know.
I like that.
With myself, I try to break myself. That's the truth. I usually I have to discuss with my trainer, Diego De Vera from Knockout Zone. We discuss on what we're doing for the day, what's our main goal for the day, and then usually
you guys work out together.
He's the one who. Since you always when you train, it's hard to train yourself. So I always get with him. You always want to have an outside person looking in.
Yeah.
Every bodybuilder, every powerlifter, every guy has another coach that that they want to get that.
After every training session I do here, I send my video off to 3 or 4 people.
Exactly.
And it's not like, hey, check out how strong I was. It's more like, hey, tell me where I was wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And with Diego, I do the same thing. We discuss on what we want to work on for the day, what I need to work on, and then we'll take it to the point where, okay, this is what I did last time, or this is what I was, and this time we're gonna do better. And we're gonna do more reps, or we're gonna go heavier weight, and we're just gonna work on that. And then usually I'll tell him, no, I can't do that, and he's like, no, you're gonna do it. And then I'm like, no, for real, like I can't, I'm gonna die. And he's like, no, but you're not gonna die, you're gonna do it. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Right. So that's usually the way it works. So
if you're training people, you're just trying to make sure that you're not destroying them too much.
Correct. They have to be able. Yeah, they have to be. They're gonna come. They have to come back.
And and it's a business, right?
Yeah, of course. You have to. You're gonna push always. You're always gonna push somebody to their limit, past their limit, but you don't want to break them. You wanna support them and push them to where they want to quit. They're gonna not want to be there, but then at the end of the day, they're glad that they went, and they're glad that they did the workout they did, and they're gonna feel stronger. They're gonna feel better when they leave from the gym.
Right. What is your mindset when you're training people for tactical situations? You're trying to change. You're trying to maybe teach people how to deal with certain situations they might have run into. What do you try to convey to them?
Well, when you're teaching tactics, it's a little bit different because it's more of a mind. It's more mind than physical, because now you're talking about it's kind of like a quick chess game. You have to know the tactics, and then you have to know 5 or 6 different scenarios to that tactics or counters to that tactics, whatever you decide to do. What are they going to throw at you? And then you have to be able to outmaneuver it. You know, think on your feet all the time. So I try to give them. I always say there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. I try to give them as many options as possible, depending on what level they're on, how many years of experience they have, will be depending on what I throw at them for the day. And then I'll give them, okay, listen, you could do it this way, you could do it this way, whichever way they feel most comfortable doing it. And then I'm going to give them different scenarios, and then we would discuss on what are the different options in counters to whatever scenario I gave them. And tactics is a little bit more difficult, you know, because it's a lot of mind work.
He's mentioned to me in his time hanging out here with me that one of the main reasons behind the conditioning work is to try to condition your body to some of these weird extreme conditions that you're going to run into. If you're a police officer, if you're part of a SWAT team, if you're a fireman, if you're whatever you may be, the situations that you're in aren't going to be ideal.
Correct.
They're not going to be textbook all the time.
Yeah.
There's going to be, as a police officer, someone's going to be shooting at you occasionally.
Yeah.
Right?
Once in a while.
And for you, probably all the time, so everyone hated you so much.
But I wasn't liked very much over there in Miami. Huh? Put a lot of people into jail.
You're like, oh, there he is.
There's that guy again.
But so the situation is going to be different. So like if someone came in here and tried to shoot up Super Training Gym, my heart rate would go bonkers.
Yeah.
I'm not used to guns. I'm not even used to gunfire or anything like that. Never even been near it, so I don't even know. So I'd be scared shitless. I'd probably poop myself. But you, who not only trains that way with a real elevated heart rate, and then also the experience level, is going to be able to try to make you a little calmer with the situation, probably be able to assess the situation.
Correct.
Possibly take care of the situation.
Yeah, assessing the situation comes with experience, and it's like everything in the world. When you do it so many times and you've been doing it for so many years, it becomes a little bit more normal to you. Dealing with those adrenaline type of situations, and you get better at it with time. The bottom line, doing it over and over and over again. At the end of the day, your adrenaline is always you're always gonna have an adrenaline dump, no matter how you look at it. But you learn to control it. You learn to have that adrenaline dump, and then you get what I call in the zone. You get into the zone, and you know what you got to do, either affect the rest or do whatever it is, and then you get focused and you do it.
Was there a point as a police officer where you kind of started to recognize the value of your training and the value of your diet, the value of your health and conditioning overall?
Yeah. I mean, you'll notice in certain scenarios that you go into, and then you notice where you're at, and you notice where a guy who's not in the same shape as you, or doesn't know what you know, and they're panicking, or they freeze, and things like that. And you got to take over and, hey, do this, and hey, do that, and hey, come over here, and and set up here, and do that. So those things take factor. And while everybody's heart is pumping, your heart's going to be pumping too, no matter how you slice it and dice it. But at least you're in control, and you're functioning. You're at a functioning level. And that's what you want to be at.
Well,
you want to be
at 230 pounds, when you recognize that the criminal can't overpower you.
Yeah.
He can't outrun you. More often than not, they're not going to outthink you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to think of more scenarios than them. And that's got to be good. That's got to give you a lot of confidence. And also hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
You're already training in that all the time, so you got that covered.
Yeah.
So that's definitely going to give you a lot more confidence. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's when you train on a regular basis, the confidence level obviously goes up, and your ability of knowing what you can do goes up.
Right.
Having the experience of understanding the laws, that also helps as well. Knowing what you're capable of, what you need to arrest for somebody for, when you have a charge enough to arrest someone, effect an arrest, all those things take, it's all together. It's a combination of several things. Fitness, regardless of how you look at it, your conditioning is always going to be a factor on if you get into a fight, or if you have a use of force situation where you understand I'm in good shape and I've been training and I know this guy hasn't. So you're always going to have that confidence in saying I can outfight this guy, or I can effect an arrest without having to use deadly force.
Right.
And that's a problem that a lot of police officers have. That number one, they don't train in any kind of mixed martial arts. They don't train in any hand-to-hand combat, and they don't do any training. Their training is very, very bad because the city doesn't give them any training. Right. They're not going to pay for training, and they're too damn tired to go train because
they don't have enough training.
Yeah, exactly. Their lack of training, and it's the city's fault because of the budget cuts, obviously. They don't shoot enough. They don't train enough in combatives, and and then they have a family. They're working midnights and
You're
overtime.
mentioning they may only shoot once a year.
No, a lot of cops only shoot once a year. They
Because
only
they
go to the
just get a
qualification.
test,
Yeah, they get a qualification every
Yeah.
year. They have to pass the qualification. Once they pass it, that's it. They're good. You don't have to
It'd
shoot
be
again.
great to see some of those things at least change. You know, some of the things are going on just so
It would.
everyone feels a little safer. Cops and
Yeah.
everybody.
And that's the thing.
Everybody, you know.
If the cops had more training and they were more confident with their abilities, they won't always go and resort to deadly force
Right.
all the time. You know, but if your lack of training is there and you're really in fear for your life because of your lack of training,
Right.
then you're gonna resort to deadly force, and that's unfortunately that's what we see a lot today.
Any tricks with your nutrition, or is it pretty basic bodybuilding style nutrition?
Yeah, I mean, it
anything?
depends what I'm doing for the year. I usually go on a really strict meal prep diet, like one time a year, just to maintain my weight. Other than that, I pretty much eat whatever
You
the
just-
fuck
you
I
just-
want.
You train really hard,
Correct, yeah.
and then you check the scale here.
Yeah, exactly. I
Make
check
sure
the
it's not
scale, and I
going-
always maintain myself at 230, between 230 and 240. The thing is that since I do 2 a days, I'll sometimes, you know, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, I'll do a 2 a day. If I do a 2 a days, I'm burning about, especially when I do strength conditioning, I'll burn anywhere between 7 to 10,000 calories in one day.
Yeah, that's-
so
that's crazy.
it's a ton, especially with the heat. Whenever I go outside,
About like branched chain amino
Oh,
acids,
yeah.
protein powder, those kind of. Use a little bit of that. kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
stuff?
I usually drink a protein shake at least twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, especially if I'm on the move.
Makes it that much easier.
Yeah,
Just-
correct.
Just supplement.
Yeah,
right?
just a supplement, get the protein in me, you know, to keep me going. BCAAs, I usually drink that at least during my workout, sometimes at night before I go to sleep, after my workout, before my workout, you know. I'm always drinking the BCAAs. I'll put it in there with my water, and I'll just start sipping on it.
Somebody wants to know why you only quarter squat.
Oh,
Who is this guy?
Who is that? Yeah.
We're gonna find out where you live.
Let me see. Who's that? What's his name? Taro Strong. Why does
Taro
he
Strong.
quarter squat? Oh.
Maybe they're talking to me though, because it's you picture of you and I in the.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. What's your name again, there? Taro Strong.
They're strong.
All right, so I'm gonna answer that, and I'm gonna entertain that. Okay, I do.
He's
all
taking
right?
the bait. Is what he's
Yeah,
doing.
I'm taking the bait. So, what you consider a quarter squat, okay, I would consider a pulse squat. All right, where I try to keep tension in my quads if I'm working just quad work. For example, I don't want to work a lot of hamstrings, so I won't go all the way down, and then I'll do one set, which obviously you only see 30 seconds of my workout. You don't see the hour and a half or 2 hours that I've been working out. So I will do one set where I do a full rep all the way down, all the way up. I will do one set where I do halfway up, halfway down. One set where I do halfway down and then up, halfway up.
He's doing like 21s.
Yeah,
He's
exactly. So
21s
I'll
from
do
back in
that,
the
and
day.
then I'll run that with 3 plates, 315 pounds, and then I'll do a full rep with 4 plates, and then I'll do a full rep with 5 plates, and then if you want to keep going, you can. You can come to a knockout zone, and we can do it together.
Damn.
So whatever you want, brother.
There's his quarter squats.
There's my
How
quarter
we doing
squat
on
for
time
you.
there, Will?
12:50.
Damn, we're running a little bit
Yeah.
long. We're gonna keep going because we got 2 more really good questions. So, fuck it, right? This guy says, when training with live rounds, is there a point where fatigue causes a safety concern? Do you think a lot of the training with live rounds is practical for large groups the application? So, like, yeah, you were kind of mentioning that the other day. Like, if you have like 12 or 13 people and they have live rounds,
Yeah.
that's gotta be hard.
Let me see the question again. I want to get it
It
really
basically
good.
says, yeah,
Training with live rounds is a point where fatigue cases safety to be concerned. Yes,
running
yes.
along.
If you have a large class where you have to maintain focus on everybody, then yeah, fatigue becomes an issue. But that's where experience comes in as a firearms instructor, and that's why you should have RSOs or range safety officers. They should be watching
people
everybody.
helping you.
Exactly. You have people helping you and people watching. I don't usually run large classes. Every now and then I'm gonna have a big class, just because I got too many people that signed up.
normally have 6 or 8.
No, I usually have about between 10 to 12. It's like that's pretty standard. And you have like 3 instructors. Or,
Right.
you know, me as a main, I have a co-instructor and I have an RSO. I've had ran classes before where it's like 19, 20 bodies. It just happens sometimes, once in a while, yeah. And those days are very stressful and they're very taxing on you know, safety wise and things like that. Especially if it's a level 1 course where nobody, you know, some people have never shot a gun before.
Makes sense. Let's see, I had one more. That was a good one. Where did it go? No, that's not a good question. we're not getting into that one. No. Somebody wants to know how much you weigh. We already talked about that.
235.
Here's a good question. Somebody wanted to know how do you track? You have so much variation in your training.
Okay.
And this becomes an issue sometimes with the West Side barbell method as well.
Okay.
Where there's tons of variation in the bench press. You might do 8 or 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 different exercises in the bench press for your max effort day.
Okay.
So the question always is, well, how the hell do I know where I'm at? And how the heck do I track my progress if I'm doing so many different things? So like for today, we saw you using the hex deadlift bar. We saw you using sandbags. We saw you using all these different things. How do we track our progress, with conditioning, with some of the different elements that you're implementing into it?
You track endurance factor, you track strength factor, and then you track rep factor. So endurance factor, when you grab that sandbag, to give you an example, grab the sandbag, how many times can you walk across, and how the distance for how many times? When you reach that where you can't do it anymore, if the next day you do it an extra 2 or 3 more reps, and you've gotten stronger endurance factor wise, reps wise. If you're doing snatches or dumbbell snatches, and you know that 2 weeks ago you only did, let's say, 75-pound dumbbell snatches, and you did it for 10 and you were like dead and you couldn't do any more, and now you go up to 80 and you do it 15 times, and rep wise you're stronger.
Right.
And then depending on the exercise, because people don't realize is that today I might feel great and I might do a whole lot more than I feel tomorrow. Tomorrow I might be hurting. Maybe my diet, I didn't eat like I was supposed to the day before, and the next day I come in fatigued and I'm tired and I don't feel the same and I don't lift up the same. You have to judge your body. Your trainer, the person that you train with, they have to know more or less where you're at and what you're capable of doing, and that's when experience comes as a coach or as a trainer. You have to be able to look at your client and say, okay, I know that you're here. We recorded you being here before. Let's see if we can beat that, this time.
Right.
At the end of the day, when you're talking about strength conditioning, it's hard. When you're talking about primary lifts, like what powerlifters do, it's a little bit more easier. Just because
it's black and white.
Yeah, it's black and white. And your bench press, this is why you squat it, and you squat it more. When you're doing all these unconventional lifts, it's a little harder to track, but it can be tracked because you'll know yourself. When, let's say, you used to use a 500-pound tire to flip, and you flipped it 10, 15 times, and that tire is really easy now, and now you're flipping it 20, 25 times. You've gotten stronger and more explosive, and you're doing it for a time. So, and that obviously that takes to write it down and realize, oh wow, last month I only did this fine. This month I did it this many times. So it's working.
Does it take a lot of time to make that kind of progress? Because I know you're flipping tires, pulling a sled, going uphill, and all these different things. With some of the clients and stuff that you've worked with, and even just with yourself, does it take a while, or is it a little faster process than strength training? Is it the same?
It depends on the person. Every person, some people move up a lot quicker than others. Why? Because of their diet. Why? Because of their dedication, genetics, their ability to pick up the techniques faster. There's just some people that learn quicker. You pick up a technique a lot faster, then you're going to be able to do 3 or 4 more reps than a person who they're just using all raw power. Technique's going to help you get an extra 20, 25 pounds. You know that in anything that you do. So that takes into account how do you eat. A person that has always got on a good diet and is always eating the way he's supposed to, and he's always healthy eating wise, always taking his aminos, always taking all his omegas, all that stuff, he's going to be his recovery's going to be quicker, so he's going to be able to recover faster and get back into the gym at a faster time and probably do better. And then genetics, like you said, has a lot to do with it too. There's guys that are just genetically they're very they do stuff quicker, they learn faster, and they just get better quicker.
One thing you mentioned to me today with the training that the guys were doing today, where they were picking up the sandbags and stuff, you were saying, some of these lighter weight things, even though they have like a 275-pound sandbag, you're like, just due to the nature of it, you just sort of pick it up. There are techniques to it.
Correct.
There's techniques to try to latch around and hook your hands.
Yeah, I was trying to tell them how to do it.
But for the most part, you can sort of pick it up whatever way you want.
Of course.
Right? And that's kind of the beauty of the thing, as opposed to like a barbell. If you're trying to go heavier and heavier with a barbell and you're not adhering to form and technique, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
There's no question you're going to get hurt. And the other thing is you're not going to get any stronger.
No.
With this, you can still make some progress, and over a period of time, if your conditioning gets better, your form they'll probably come together.
Correct.
That's kind of at the same time, right?
Yes, correct. Obviously, technique always helps. At the end of the day, if you don't have the technique and you're just a naturally strong person, you're going to make up for it.
Right.
So I tell people, you gradually go up, but as you get better, I want to see your technique improve.
Right.
Because then it's going to help you get, go heavier and get stronger. But if you don't, let's say you're some people are just uncoordinated. They just they don't understand technique.
Yeah.
But you know what? You might be cornbread, and they're just a strong guy,
Strong as hell.
So if it works for you and you don't have no problems, then hey, by all means, do it your way, and it's working for you.
Right.
Can you throw out your back? Yeah. And any of these unorthodox stuff, and any listen, we all risk, and I'm so tired of hearing people, oh, your back, you're not gonna have any knees, you're not gonna have all this shit. And in one of my videos, I was like, fuck my back, fuck my knees, and all that shit. And I still have that same mentality, because if I have the mentality that I'm gonna hurt my back or hurt my knees every single time I do a tire flip, or every single time I do a squat, then I would never do it.
Right.
Powerlifters, if they told them, hey, listen, you're gonna throw your back out when you're squatting 900 pounds, that guy's gonna be like, well, I want to save my back, I'm not gonna do it. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? The guy's gonna go and try to do a PR. Bottom line, you gotta get that mentality of you getting hurt. Yeah, you have to be smart. I wear a belt. He wears a belt.
Yep.
We wear knee wraps. We wear knee sleeves. We do everything that we can to help us. But at the end of the day, you have to have a mentality that if you don't push yourself and you don't take it beyond that level where you can mentally, then you're never gonna progress. You're gonna stay plateaued. You're gonna be too scared to go to that next level. And then what are you gonna do? You're not gonna do nothing. You're not gonna accomplish anything or any goals. You have to risk.
And the video with a quote from the greatest bodybuilder of all time, and you told me that you like to quote a lot, said by Ronnie Coleman. What was Ronnie Coleman's kind of response to?
Yeah.
Did he have any regrets?
Yeah, his regret was he didn't do 3 or 4 more reps. Yeah, that's
there
it.
You go. Guy who had hip replacement surgery, but he put everything on the line to become the best. And I think that's pretty much his point there. Strength is never a weakness, and that is it from Super Training Gym. Later.